Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. Also live on YouTube and Facebook. And we're excited because even as we're, celebrating the end of the baseball season and, the Seawolves in the division series again, guess what? Hockey is right around the corner. And to take us through the amazing efforts of our Erie Otters is Trevor Kubeja. He's here in studio to talk about the upcoming hockey season here in Erie. Trevor, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it, man.
Joel, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I've had a blast in all of our conversations over the years and can't wait to talk some Otters hockey. And how crazy is it that we're already here? I mean, this summer just flew by. It's just unbelievable. So I really appreciate you having me on the show. And man, I'm fired up to get it going tomorrow night.
I gotta, it's both hockey and basketball seem to like to spill over right into football and baseball season.
I know it's crazy. It's unbelievable. And in October we'll have all four sports going at once, right? With the end of October with the World Series. I'm a huge baseball guy. I think we talked about that when I was on a couple of years ago. So I mean, this is kind of the end of my travel season, but the beginning of another travel season. So I like going to all the different ballparks all across the country. So it's been a fun ride, fun summer, but now instead of getting to go watch baseball games, I get to go watch hockey games, and I get to talk about the hockey games. So it even gets better from there. So really looking forward to jumping in.
Remind us again how you came up and how you got involved with the Otters there.
Yeah, it's a kind of a funny story. So Sean Bednard, who is really now a great friend of mine and a real mentor of mine, I had been on with WERG at Gannon, and of course they were a huge part of my career and boost and start to my career. And in fact, in a couple of hours, I'll be on their airwaves as well. So bouncing around.
That's right, primetime sports guys, right?
I'll be doing a little very similar to this. So it kind of started there. I got a media credential from Eric Konwinski, who is actually now the voice of the Bloomington Bison of the ECHL. He was our sports director at the time. He said, look, if you guys want to go to the games, for me and my buddy Mario Bruni, here's this. I'm interning with the Otters. And the first night we go to the game, it was the home opener. It was the 21-22 season. So mind you, this is just after the pandemic. So things were just opening up. We go up to the press box, and we're sitting there pregame, and here comes Sean. This is his first game as the voice of the Otters at home, right? They'd been on the road, I think, 4 or 5 games to start the season.
Our young one from Michigan, right?
Yes, exactly. So, he comes up to the booth, and hey, great to meet you. I'm Sean. By the way, unfortunately tonight we don't have space for you in the press box, so go find a seat. So that's how things started up there. And then a couple of weeks later, I got to chatting with them, and it just got to be a great relationship. And toward the end of the season, I was like, hey, I'd love to do this internship that Eric's doing, and was able to get in that first year. It was honestly, I'm not going to lie, it was tough on me. I wasn't on air much. I was doing a lot of intermission stuff, but it was very small hits, and that was really toward the second half of the year. It was more about listening and understanding the broadcast. Yeah. The second year, I knew that I was going to be doing some fill-in work because Sean was getting married. RJ, our coworker, was getting married. So I knew I was going to have 5 games that I was going to get to fill in for. So it got to be to the point where right at the beginning of the year, I was the main color guy for the home games. And then the second week of the season, Sean was out for about 2 weeks. So I became the voice of the Otters for 2 weeks, and that was just an unbelievable experience. And, I think that really helped me in terms of getting to know the traveling party, getting to know the guys that are on the road. I roomed with Mitch, who is our general manager's son. He does all the travel. So I think that was another little foot in the door. And then fast forward toward the end of that season, we're in the playoffs against the Kitchener Rangers, and Sean gets sick. So I got to fill in for him. I called 3 playoff games solo. It was obviously the worst possible circumstances. Right. Like that, not at all how I wanted it to go, but I think it opened up some organizational eyes of, hey, maybe we should bring on a second person just in case. And then in June of last year, I got a call or a text from Sean, hey, come to the office, wear your Otters polo. And I'm like, that's peculiar on a summer day in June when I wasn't quite sure. I hadn't had a job yet. And then he's like, you know what, we're going to do a phone call. So we do a phone call. Hey, love to offer you a job. Coordinator role, get you in as a kind of an entry-level position, kind of a similar role to what you had where you're going to be my color guy at home. But this year, I just had a baby, so you're going to be on the road a lot. And I had the opportunity to travel a ton with the team last year. I think I did all 68 games for sure. I did a few with Sean, but I think I did half the road schedule was just me. So that was an unbelievable experience. And then Sean gets this unbelievable opportunity with Hammond Health Foundation, and that opened up the job for me. So this kid from Erie who's grown up going to games my whole life, it's just a really, really special opportunity, and I could not be more grateful.
Let's talk about technique of actually doing play-by-play. We'll do a little inside baseball broadcasting chat for a second here. First off, is this something that you did as a kid? Were you just calling games as you were watching them on TV, the Pens or whatever?
100%. Yeah. So I actually, and sometimes I still do this to this day, I'll play, Madden or NHL, and I'll just call the game as if I was, in the stadium for real. So that was how I got into it. I had always grown up and been like, wow, those guys are cool. Like, they get to go watch the game and they get paid to watch the game, and all they got to do is describe it. So that's how I always say it too, right? You say what you see, and hopefully what you see is correct. It's a really fun job. I could not ask for a better organization to work for, and I couldn't ask for a better job. I mean, it's not work when you get to do something that you love. And for me, traveling, watching hockey, being as immersed in that world, and being able to articulate it to just an unbelievable fan base in Erie is so special.
Talk too about kind of the transition to go from color, providing perspective, to actually tracking the puck. First off, how much of the puck movement do you have to say on the radio?
I think it depends too if it's a home game or it's a road game. So when we're at home, the TV broadcast kind of takes precedent. Okay. So the TV broadcast runs on Flow Hockey now, our new streaming partner. So that kind of takes precedent. So it's more of a TV feel to the play-by-play. But at the end of the day, you still have listeners on radio, so that you've got to still paint the picture. It's not like you can just go silent for a few seconds when
that charging front man is going past the blue line. I mean, you got to describe it. Yeah.
So, but when you're on the road, I mean, you got to paint the picture, and I think that's something that I love, and I played hockey growing up, so I think that's really helped me in falling in love with doing hockey play-by-play. I grown up, and I mentioned I'm a big baseball fan.
I always say that's a total different.
It's so different
pace.
It's unbelievable.
There's a lot of not dead air, but you're letting the crowd fill in the gaps while you're waiting for the pitcher.
It's hard, and there's a lot of just filling dead air too as well. It's not easy, and
and you're just going with hockey.
With hockey, there's just so much action, and I fell in love with basketball a little bit, and doing basketball at Gannon, and that great run the team went on with Coach Jordan Fee a couple of years ago, and really being a part of that was really cool. So I think just the speed of it, and again, I mentioned I played, so I think that helps me kind of anticipate what's going to happen next. Obviously, I wasn't playing at an OHL level where you've got guys who are Matthew Schaefer getting drafted first overall in the NHL. But, I think that really helped me with understanding, the pace of play and where the puck may end up when it does keep itself moving.
When you have, again, let's talk about the kind of the hockey media universe. When you have a player like Schaefer, you end up becoming kind of like the consultant voice for, I don't know, for NHL.com, but like for like a lot of national press, right? They want to talk to the voice of the Otters where the $1 million baby is, don't they?
Yeah, and that was Sean last year. He had a ton of they did a feature on Schaefer on Sportsnet, which is the big media partner up there Rogers, in Canada. Right? Yeah, Rogers Sportsnet's huge. But the one thing I got to have over Sean is I called his first OHL goal. When I was filling in for Sean in October of 2023, he scored a goal in Niagara. We were on the road, so I had the call of that goal, and I always kind of would mess with him. Hey, whatever happened with Schaefer, I got to call his first goal. So that was when it happened. I didn't realize, I had known, okay, this is a kid we picked first overall. He's going to be really, really good. I didn't know he was going to be an NHL first overall pick. So that was a really special moment. He had a play last year in Brampton. It won the Otters Play of the Year, and it was up toward the top of the OHL Play of the Year, where he just danced through 3 guys, spun around, made this unbelievable pass to Malcolm Spence. He just taps it in, and I got to call that one as well on the road in Brampton, and that was a really special moment.
So your call is on loop.
Yeah, so that call in the OHL, when they posted the footage of it, so we always send our calls when we're on the road to the OHL just in case they want to, put our audio under it, and that one they did, and it went pretty viral because the NHL collaborated with it on social media, so that was a really special moment for me. And, I really hate to take credit for things. I'm here to tell these guys stories. It's about them at the end of the day, right? I'm here to just, again, say what I see. I'm just the humble play-by-play guy. But, personally, that moment was really, really special for me. That one, really kind of stuck out. And getting to write the press release when Schaaf was drafted first overall was really, really special. So, again, I don't like to be in the spotlight, but that type of moment was one that really was awesome.
Well, again, and we're going to wrap up this segment in a second here, but I wanted to focus on you for this first segment. Talk about, again, I want you to basically give a plug for the viability of a job in things like sports marketing and sports broadcasting and, the stuff that kind of has been your life's goal and career, huh?
It's unbelievable, right? It's not only a job that I love, and again, when you do something you love, it's not work. It's amazing. I
just said that this week. Yeah.
Exactly, and I can imagine you would feel the same way about this, right? Like, when you get to show up to the rink every day and be around the guys and just try and bring a little bit of positivity is really awesome. And, sports media and the traditional media is something I think gets lost a little bit among today's youth. And I think there's such a place for it. I love it. I mean, I was telling you before we came on air, I love radio. I think I got brought up in radio and working with Chet over at Gannon and everything that's gone there. But, without radio, I wouldn't have been able to travel and call all those basketball games in that unbelievable Jordan Fee era. And, even with the OHL, the way the rules are for the TV broadcast, the home team provides the broadcast, so I wouldn't be able to travel and do all 68 games without it. So I love the sense of traditional media, and I think that, bringing on Tim Quinn, my broadcast partner this year, he kind of has the opposite perspective of the social media and everything, so we kind of gel in that way as well, where he's pushing all these, high-tech, like, fast-forward thinking ideas, where I'm kind of the reserved, like, want to keep it old school, and, I think that kind of, it works well.
At what, 23?
Yeah, 23. So, yeah, I still kind of have that mentality and that mindset when it comes to, how a comms department should be run from a sports perspective. I'm still loving to write the post-game recap for every game. People may not be reading it, but I'm still going to write it, right? That's just kind of how it works. So I love it.
There's so many of us that are, on the other side of that radio. I mean, we're busy, we're working. We didn't get to the game, but we want an update. I mean, it's why, I think it was Vince Scully used to put an hourglass so that he made sure he gave the score every 2-3 minutes, right? Because the hourglass would flip. We're talking to Trevor Kubeja here. He is the voice of the Erie Otters. We're going to start talking about hockey here in just a second and talk about this great team for 2025-2026 in the OHL. Stay with us. It's Talk Erie. Talk Erie of the Joel Natale Show. We are talking to Trevor Kubeja here. He is the voice of the Erie Otters. And, okay, Trevor, in a nutshell, how excited are you for this 2025-2026 version of the Otters?
Yeah, I mean, I think a nutshell is not giving me enough space for how excited I am. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. But no, it's gonna be a unique year. I think there's a lot of changes within the OHL with the NCAA eligibility rule and how that's affected things with guys going out. But I mentioned this last night on a show I was doing about, I think Dave Brown, the Otters general manager, has done just a terrific job of going out and being ahead of the curve with that, bringing in a bunch of guys. You look at this year's roster, new faces is the theme for the Erie Otters this season. I think there are 8 players that could make their OHL debut tomorrow night in Guelph. Last season there were 5 that did in the game in Kitchener, and I feel like that was even high.
So they're literally starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, game tomorrow night in Guelph at the Sleeman Center, which is about 3.5-hour trip. So it'll be a long night, late night, and then an early turnaround with the home game on Saturday. So it's going to be fun. But no, you look at Ritter Coombs is a Providence College commit. He's a Jamestown, New York product. He's a guy that I think fans here in Erie are going to just fall in love with. He had over 200 penalty minutes last season. Then you have Luke Plante. He's a Northern Michigan commit. He comes in as a first-round pick in the USHL. Otters are able to kind of pluck him from there. McLean Agrette, another college commit. So those are 3 guys right off the bat that would have never played in the OHL if not for the rule. Callum Hughes and Garrett Fraser are both returning players that came aboard midway last season. They are also committed. Callum is a BU commit, Boston University, and then for Frage, he is a Northeastern commit. So
tell me, how does that work? I mean, are these kids? These kids are younger than college age, right?
Yep.
So they're going to play OHL and then go play for their Division I team? Or?
Yeah, they can when they're 18. So as soon as they turn 18 and graduate high school, they can leave if they want. Unfortunately, it happened with Malcolm Spence. He chose to go to Michigan this season. For Matthew Schaefer, I guess he's like the big guy to think about with this because it is his 18-year-old season. He was drafted and he signed with the Islanders. So because he signed that contract, he can't go to college now. So his options are either NHL or come back to Erie. He has two things that can happen with him.
Okay, you brought up Schaefer, so let's talk about this because this was the big deal when he was first drafted here. Some folks are saying, hey, you know what? Spend one more year in the OHL and just get older and let your body fill out or something like that. Well, again, what are the hockey experts saying about Matthew Schaefer?
Yeah, I think, it's up to the Islanders, first of all. So it's up to them. What I think personally will happen, and this is, with absolutely no backing of anybody, this is just my own personal opinion. I would think he plays, so he can play 9 games at the NHL level, then they have to make a decision. Those 9 games don't have to be consecutive. So what I think is going to happen is he's going to play those 9 games, but they're going to be spread out until about Christmas time that's when the World Juniors is. He'll go off to the World Juniors, represent Canada at that tournament, and then from there probably be sent back to the OHL. That would be what I think is going to happen. Again, that's not based off of any expert opinion. That's just this play-by-play guy's thoughts on what could happen.
Well, and the other thing we got to remember is he missed a lot of the last season because of injury.
He's only played about a full season worth of OHL games when you combine his rookie year and last season. He played 17 games last year. So he still has some growing to do, I think, at the OHL level. And, not to say that Matthew Schaefer isn't a special player because he absolutely is, but 18-year-old defensemen at the NHL level typically don't work out because if the jump from the OHL to the NHL is immense. And for a defenseman, if you make a mistake, it could cost your team a game. If a forward makes a mistake, it's typically not going to, but usually defensive mistakes lead to goals, and that could really kill a player's confidence and could really hurt their career in the long run because of being brought up too early. So that could happen at the NHL level. And again, the NHL level is so unforgiving. It's so fast. I mean, you go watch a game just from a fan perspective of the OHL and the NHL. I mean, just the speed of the NHL game. Imagine being out there on the ice as an 18-year-old. It's just a wild thought. But then again, Matthew Schaefer is a very special player that, that may not apply to. I think it all depends on what happens when he does get out there on the ice for the first time.
Staying with Schaefer for a second here, the the idea of, this heritage that we have in Erie, and I'm sure a lot of other OHL teams have the heritage, but my gosh, we had Boyce, we had McDavid, now we have Schaefer. That's like, the heavens are looking down on Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, just the history of this team. I mean, you look at Dylan Strome, you look at the Radish brothers. Ryan O'Reilly was a high pick in the NHL and has had a terrific career. So you look at the amount of guys that have come through this program here in Erie, it's unbelievable. And, Schaefer's the next one. I mean, who could be after that? It's just... And even Malcolm Spence, he goes off to Michigan this year. He was a second-round pick in the NHL. He could go off and play in the National Hockey League, and I think will play in the National Hockey League within the next 2-3 years. And Kerry Terrance, he'll play in the American Hockey League this year. He could be in the NHL in the next year or two, even maybe a call-up this year. Just the amount of guys that have gone on to have just stellar NHL careers is really, really cool to see.
Absolutely. We're talking to Trevor Kubeja. He's the voice of the Otters here. We got to take our bottom of the hour news break here on Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. If you have a question for our expert, give us a call, 814-679-1080. You could call or text on that line, 814-679-1080. Talking hockey. It starts at home on Saturday already. Amazing. Appreciate you tuning in to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State, also live on Facebook and on YouTube. We're talking Erie Otters. The season starts tomorrow night away, home opener on Saturday. And Trevor Kubeja is with us here. He's the voice of the Otters. Trevor, what do you know about ticket sales for the home opener? What do you think?
Yeah, hey,
they're
going fast. We're hoping to pack the building, as many people in there as possible. And, again, we encourage you to get there early. Fan Fest, which has become a great tradition with the home opener over the last few years. First 1,500 will get a rally towel, first 1,500 get a magnet schedule. Everybody gets a rally towel, so double giveaway. Great matchup, Kitchener Rangers in town. Good division rivalry, of course, the playoff matchup a couple of years ago, so it'll be a fun one. Always look forward to those divisional matchups, and the home opener is always a special night in Erie.
So Otters made it to the playoffs last season, right? And that doesn't happen every year, but this was a special year last year.
Yeah, the first time the Otters made it to the second round since 2017 when they won the championship. So definitely a lot of progress being made. Now this year you get Chris Millette in his first full season behind the bench of the Erie Otters. So I think there's a lot of expectations. Again, we mentioned a lot of new faces, but the way things ended last year, unfortunately, on home ice in overtime, especially coming off of that Saginaw series, which was just one of the most fun 2 weeks or so of my professional career. I mean, just going to Saginaw and beating them like 9-5 and 8-6, or just these crazy games.
Was it a baseball game?
It was unbelievable. And this was a team that wasn't really scoring going into the playoffs. So when they just started, and they were up big in the first period again. I think it was 5-0 after the first period in game one. And Sean and I are up in the broadcast booth in Saginaw, like looking at each other like, where has this been? And then they win it in 5 after dropping, I think it was game 3 at home. It was just the most fun I've had. And then, unfortunately, you run into a buzzsaw London team, which I think they only lost 2 games their entire Memorial Cup run. They go on to win a Memorial Cup, and that team was just stacked. I mean, you look up and down that lineup, the amount of guys that are, maybe playing in the NHL this year, just superb. And it's unfortunate that the London Knights, the big rivalry, there's such a buzzsaw at times. I think this year they're probably going to take a step back. We'll see how it looks. I mean, they're good every year, but it's going to be an interesting
that's
year.
What I wanted to ask. Generally, if you have like you say, just a really difficult. London was ranked number 1 in all of the CHL every single week. Once all those kids graduate, or the ones that will, I mean, it's like high school sports where, hey, we're in a rebuilding year.
Again, with that, the recruiting in that process has changed so much with the NCAA eligibility. It really changes everything in the way guys are going out there. But the one advantage that London has is Dale Hunter and his system. I mean, he is as good of a coach. And again, that statement in Erie is not a popular one, but unfortunately, it's a fact. You got to face it. He's just does a terrific job there with the Knights, and they always seem to come up with 1 or 2 guys that say they aren't coming and then they end up coming. So it always is interesting to see how that works out. But this year could be, for me, the Kitchener Rangers are the team to beat in the Midwest Division. They've got a lot of returning guys. Cameron Reed was a first-round pick, Nashville Predators, this year's draft, 7th overall, I think it was. He should be back this year. Not sure if we'll see him Saturday. I think he probably will still be away at their camp. So if there is a time for the Otters to maybe get one over on the Rangers, it's probably going to be this Saturday. So, again, come on out, bring your voices, be loud, and we hope to hear you at the EIA. It's going to be a fun night, and always is with the home opener. But, yeah, this team, again, the expectations are, it's an interesting spot. It's an interesting place because there's so many new faces around the OHL. There's really only 2 or 3 teams that are really, I would say, going for it this year, and they're all in the Eastern Conference. So the Western Conference is so wide open this year that this Otters team could, maybe make a run for it if everything goes right.
Talk about the coach's system. What's his approach? Again, because he kind of came in late in the season last year.
Yeah, now this is the first opportunity for Chris Millette to get his system down and really get guys to buy in and really make the changes. He's had the whole summer now to get these guys in and decide, okay, this is what I want to change. This is what we're going to keep the same. So one thing that he's talked a lot about leading up to the home opener and leading up to tomorrow night in Guelph is this team is going to be incredibly difficult to play against. They're probably not going to score a lot of goals. So we mentioned those 8-6 games. Probably not going to see a lot of that. they're going to be gritty. They're going to be really physical. I think we saw that a lot in the preseason. I mean, there were guys, I mentioned you off air, there was a game I was at in Stratford on Friday night. Gabriel Frasca, who's typically not a guy who's going to drop the gloves. He dropped the gloves, and man, did he hold his own. He was really in it. So, and I would say even he won the scrap at the end of the day. So, this is a team that you're probably going to see a little bit of that. I mean, we mentioned Ritter Coombs, a guy who's brings that physical edge. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team looks. And I think there's just so many question marks just, again, surrounding the OHL and, what this season could look like versus other seasons in the past. So we'll see what it all looks like. I think that this first 4 games for Erie is a big-time test. They start with Guelph on the road tomorrow night. This Guelph team, a lot of similar faces, but they've gone out and really, they had the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. They bring in a young player, Jaco Wysick, who's a very high-end player. I think he could be a very intriguing one. They've got a couple other import picks that could be really good. So I think Guelph's going to take a step forward. Kitchener's going to be really good. They've got them Saturday in Erie and then on Friday in Kitchener. So they play a home-and-home with the Rangers, and then it's London at home that following Saturday. So it's quite the gauntlet. All division games to start the season for the Erie Otters. So I think that's going to be a big litmus test. If they can really split those 4 games, I think that would probably be a decent result for Erie going forward, and we'll see what they could do. But you got to win your home opener. That's the big one. You got to win your home opener, and that's what Erie will be looking to do on Saturday. It sets
the tone for the season here. Let's talk about players who you should have, who the fans should keep an eye on, scorers, defensemen, who's in the nets. Talk about all that stuff.
Yeah, let's start with some returning players. Wesley Royston had a really good second year last season. I think, it may be a high number to reach for, but I don't think 30 goals is out of the question for him. Wow. I think he could really, that would be doubling his goal total from last season. Dylan Edwards comes back. He's going to play a big-time leadership role with the forward core. Of course, what a story. A guy who doesn't make the team 2 years ago, comes back at Christmas when the team was battling some injuries, scores 2 goals in the first game, and just takes off from there. Wow. And then last season, just such a consistent contributor game in and game out. Noah Erliden back between the pipes for the Otters. He's going to be a big-time piece to this team, and, playing that defensive style, your goaltender is a big part of that. So Noah Erliden is going to be big-time when it comes to keeping pucks out of the net. Garrett Fraser, we talked about him a little bit, big-time bruising defenseman. He is a very tough guy to play against and brings almost an American style, a lower junior end style of game to the OHL. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he can bring in more of a leadership role this year. And then you look at some of the new faces. Luke Plant's the guy that I think is the most intriguing, a guy who...
Okay, how old is he?
He is 18.
Okay, so he's on the upper age.
Yeah, so he's an 07.
Okay.
He came over as a free agent. He was the one that was a first-round pick in the USHL, and the Otters were able to essentially pluck him from there to bring him here to play in the Ontario Hockey League. He's a guy who's got a little bit of skill, sneaky shot, Michigan native, so I'm really interested to see what he can bring to this lineup night in and night out. Ritter Coombs, again, the Jamestown kid, local flavor there, and bringing that bruising style, but a little bit of skill as well. Alex Mishiak, Martin Mishiak's brother, he wore number 90 the other night. They had a little snafu with the jerseys, so Erie only had their blue jerseys made up with the preseason roster ready to go. We played Flint the other night, and they only had their dark jerseys as well. Oops. So Erie had to take the white jerseys from last year and essentially strip the names off of the players who weren't coming back and put the new names on there. So they already had a Mishiak one made up for Martin, which was number 90, and you could have sworn from the booth there, like, that's Martin out there. I mean, it was unbelievable. So
younger brother,
yeah,
huh?
so younger brother Martin Mishiak, a little bit of a different player, a little more physical, a little smaller, doesn't quite have the shot, but he's got that little bit of a sneaky skill to him, and I think that shot could come in time. So he's going to be a fun one, and having the Mishiak energy and the swagger. I mean, Martin Mishiak brought this unbelievable swagger to the team, and just having his presence in the locker meant so much. And having another young man who has the kind of the same personality is going to be really good, I think, for this group. So a lot of new faces. Tyler Cooper, second-round pick. He had a really good preseason. I think he could be a key contributor offensively. And Jake Murray was the first-round pick. Going to go to the greasy areas. Big kid. Not going to be afraid to go battle in front of the net. Going to score some greasy goals for this Otters team. So it's an interesting-looking group. They add a lot of size, but there's a little bit of skill there as well. And I think some sneaky skill with this Otters team.
Does the system seem to favor really fast puck work, or is it kind of like, take like a pacing kind of approach?
I think it's probably going to be more of the latter there.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see more, again, just battles in the corner, going to the greasy areas. It's not going to probably be pretty at times, but if it wins you games, all that matters. Who cares if you win a game 2-1 versus 8-7, right? As long as you're picking up a number on that left-hand column, that's the most important thing. So I think we're going to see a lot of that with this group in terms of winning these gritty games, winning these lower scoring games, and coming out on top from that perspective. We'll see if that does come to light. Who knows? Tomorrow we show up and they win 8-7. I won't be complaining because that makes for one heck of an entertaining broadcast. But
there's no doubt.
It'll be fun regardless. And I think, again, people here in Erie are going to really enjoy the big hits and the fights that may come out of it. Again, who knows what that could all look like. It's going to be a fun year, though.
We're talking to Trevor Kubeja here. He's the voice of the Otters. The front office would be miffed at us if we don't talk about some of the fan experience stuff that people can expect at the Erie Insurance Arena this season. Again, home opener is on Saturday, and then they're back in action. What, the following Saturday?
Against London as well.
Wow, big game. So talk about some of the promotions and things as you remember them.
Yeah, so let's start with the home opener. That's the big one. It's our 4th annual Fan Fest. So we'll have live music from local band Rainmaker, who their bass player is Bob Cataldi, who is was the billet of Connor McDavid when he was here in town. So I actually sat down with him and we had a really good conversation talking about the band and talking about, Connor and that connection there and what it means for him to be able to bring his group here to the EIA. So they're going to be performing live music. He said they do up to 200 different songs. You'll hear disco. You'll hear stuff that's currently on the radio now. You'll hear a little bit of country. You name it, they'll play it. So we'll have music for everybody, something that really gets everybody going. The very popular Player Red Carpet Walk-In. Myself and Tim Quinn will be on with Isaac Petcash and the Gem City Sports Podcast Network. We'll be doing a live show from there. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have food trucks, face painting, stuff for the kids. It's really a family friendly block party that really gets everybody fired up. And then once those doors open, first 1,500 will get an Otters magnet schedule. Then everybody will get a rally towel. Those will be passed out at the door as well. So everybody's getting towel, and the first 1,500 get the magnet schedule. And then from there, it's all about the game. Otters and Rangers should be a great Midwest Division matchup. You look ahead to the following Saturday, Pucks and Paws night. It's our team dog Caroline's birthday, so we're celebrating all things four-legged friends. That's going to be a lot of fun. Looking ahead, Pittsburgh night coming up. That's October 17th. The Otters will wear specialty jerseys for that one as we celebrate the 4-1-2. That'll be a fun one.
Okay.
Halloween Spooktacular. Toward the end of October. Only 5 home games, though, from home opener to the end of October. And then it gets a little bit busier toward late November around Thanksgiving. Bears and Beers night. Tossing teddy bears the night before Thanksgiving. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's the big one, huh? That's a big one. That's my favorite promotion in all of sports, right? How many places can you go? You bring a teddy bear, goes to an amazing cause, and you get to throw it on the ice when the team scores. I mean, it doesn't get any better. It's a terrific tradition. I think this is the 16th or 17th one in Erie history. So it's an awesome tradition. I'm a big fan of the game Thanksgiving Eve. It went really well last year. Great turnout and just really good vibes around the rink last year. So
that's kind of replaced the Thanksgiving night game, right?
It's become,
which, who wants to work on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's really nice to from a front office perspective to have the day with your family, and for me to watch football all day and not move from about 12 o'clock to 11 o'clock when the late game ends. So I really appreciate that time for sure. And last season again, and it went so well. The game didn't go as great. Erie lost 3-2 in overtime. Bruce McDonald, a former Otter, scored the overtime winner for the Owen Sound attack. But however,
there were so many overtime games.
A lot of overtime games last year.
It was like,
Yeah, there were a lot of OT, a lot of late nights at the rink. But, again, I think that just shows the parity around the OHL and just how tight, a lot of these teams are and how well built so many teams in our league are. It's amazing. And I think, the fast forward thinking analytics and everything on top of that has led to that. And just, building a more competitive team overall has been really interesting to see. But again, back to promotions.
Yes, sir.
There's so many. You look ahead. We've got
Wars. When is
Star
that?
Wars. That's in late January.
Okay.
London in town. Chris Millette bobbleheads on November 29th against the Peterborough Petes. So that'll be a fun little callback and to what happened last year, and it's going to be a lot of fun that night. That'll be a really popular giveaway item as well. Aprons for the Thanksgiving Eve game, so get yourself an Otters apron to cook your turkey right the next day. So some new theme nights, racing night we're doing this year. We're doing a fishing night this year. So a couple of different ideas. Olympic night. Otters will wear specialty jerseys. One of my favorite giveaways they're doing this year is on Olympic night. They're doing pins. So we're going to do pin trading.
Oh, how cool.
So a bunch of everybody will get a different pin when they come in. You can trade them with the fans.
I'm trying to think, where's the Olympics this year? The Winter Olympics are coming up,
the Winter
right?
Olympics are coming up. It'll be it's February 14th is the game we're doing.
Yeah, and it's right around that time, right? I'm trying to remember
where is it?
Is it Japan? No.
No, is it Milan? I think it's Milan.
You're right.
Yep.
Okay.
I did see a promo NBC was doing for Sunday Night Football. Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a cool spot for it, right up in the mountains, northern Italy. Beautiful.
And we'll be rooting for USA hockey, right? I mean,
yeah. I wonder if we could do maybe like something with the helmets. Like each player gets like their like a flag sticker of their nation on the helmets for that night, or
that's
something
cool.
that would be really, or even on the patches of the jersey. Something to say, okay, Luke Plant's representing the U.S. and we've got Lucas Ambrosio representing Canada. Like super cool stuff.
Does the OHL get some of the Eastern European folks that come and play?
Yep.
Some of the kids?
Yeah, so this year, actually, you're allowed to have 3 import players on your roster. Okay. Previously, it was 2. So for the Otters, they're carrying Noah Erliden, who's from Sweden, Julius Sari, who's from Finland, and Alex Misiak from Slovakia. So you're allowed to carry up to 3. There was a situation with Georgi Tarapetsev a couple of years ago. He was born in Russia, but then moved to Canada, so he didn't count against the import rule because he moved and lived in Canada. Right. So there's some interesting, workarounds with that. But it's a pretty cool world. And again, bringing their style of game, and they play such a different style to the American style, which is more tight checking, kind of what you would see in a college game. And then Canadian style is fast paced and a lot of goals and just the skill. So it's amazing kind of seeing how that all gels together into one team.
Trevor, before we let you go, let's talk about again, kind of pro tips on how people should buy the tickets. And one of the things we want to be careful of is there's a lot of ticket scammers out there. So you got to go either to the actual Otters website and don't get go somewhere else.
Yes.
And pay a fortune for a ticket that is quite reasonable when you buy it directly from the team.
100%. Yeah, just check us out, ottershockey.com. There's a ticket link there. If you have any issues, give our guy Mike a call. His number is linked right there.
What about like mini packs and partial seasons and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll all run through Mike as well. So his number's listed right on the website. There's a tab for partial plans, and give him a call. Let us know what you're looking to get into. If you're doing
group
a Saturday
too,
games, group tickets.
Bring in the Boy Scouts or whatever.
Absolutely. I think it's as low as $12 a game for group tickets as well.
And they have, again, if you have a nonprofit, they also have a beautiful nonprofit.
Yeah, nonprofit of the night has been just an awesome entity for us, and it's just a terrific deal. I know that was something that Sean had really spearheaded in the past. For that, you'll want to give Hallie a call, and she'll hook you up with a great deal to get your group out to the game and to I'll have you on the broadcast. We'll do an interview, so it'll be a lot of fun. If you're a nonprofit and looking to get involved with that, that's a really cool way to really get some eyes. It may be some eyes that wouldn't have been on your product, and for a really reasonable price as well. So we could definitely hook you up with that. So Hallie does nonprofits. We've got RJ on group sales and Mike with the partial plans and season tickets and single game tickets. You want to either give the Otters box off or the Erie events box office a call or come on down. I believe they're open normal business hours. So hoping to have as many people as possible filling out the seats at the EIA.
Beautiful. Trevor Kubeja, the voice of the Otters, with us. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely, Joel. It's always a pleasure. I really appreciate you making some time for me on the program today. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and always really appreciate any chance I get to jump on a microphone is never a bad thing. So thank you so much.
We'll have you check in through the season, as we, get close to big games and things. We'll make sure that we check in and see how the team's doing. Take care, bro. Off.